Okay, today we are watching a program called Why Does the Flea Jump? I'll say that again. Why does the flea jump? And I'm interested in this program for at least one specific reason, and that's because the person who made it is Sakura Igasha, all right? So Why Does the Flea Jump by Sakura Igasha. And this was published all the way back in 1965. So I'm very curious about this production company, or this producer, I guess, Sakura Igasha. This is unlike any other production company or producer I've ever seen. So we might have a bit of an interesting experience with them. I can't quite tell yet. So let's just dive in, shall we? Okay, why does the flea jump when a man approaches? Probably nobody has ever tried to solve this riddle because it is a matter of course. What? This doesn't make any sense. I've read this like several times now. Why does the flea jump when a man approaches? That makes sense. That's a question. Probably nobody has ever tried to solve this riddle because it is a matter of course. Because it is a matter of course? What? Maybe this is just such an antiquated use of language that I just don't even understand it anymore. Approaches. Probably no one has ever tried to solve this riddle because it is a matter of course. I don't know if I'm making myself look really dumb, but I just do not even understand what this is trying to say. However, there was a reason known only by the flea. Yeah, this is just trying to set up some sort of question. I don't understand what we're even saying here. Let's just keep going. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to understand that. All right, this is a story about a group of scientists who solved the question through a series of reasonings and experiments. Oh, okay, so this is interesting actually. All right, so let's go back then. Hang on. So the question is, why does the flea jump? I guess I could have guessed that. Why does the flea jump? That seems like such a simple question. A flea just jumps to get away from danger, right? I don't get why this is even a mystery, you know? Probably, what's the riddle? Why does the flea jump? Is that a riddle? I'm pretty sure it's not even a riddle. I'm pretty sure this is a very straightforward question. I don't know why we needed scientists, to figure this out even. So hang on, I gotta read this again. Who solved the question through a series of reasonings. All right, so we are going to watch the process of solving why does the flea jump, I guess. That's interesting. Research staffs, Department of Parasitology, the Institute for Infectious Diseases, the University of Tokyo. Interesting. So that's another little clue, right? Another little clue already. Just keep that in mind. Manabu Sasa Shigeu Hayashi. I don't know if that's a name or if that's a title. Manabu Sasha Shigeu Hayashi. All right, whatever that is. I'm trying to give credit to these people, okay? I don't know. Oh, okay, so this is a list of people. So we got Manabu Sasa, we got Shigeo Hayashi, we got Hiroshi Tanaka, we got Ryuko Shirasaka, we got Akiko Miura, we got Tashiki Suzuki, and we got Hisashi Yamamoto. Interesting. Yamamoto, I like that one. All right. I feel like I've seen that name before, actually. So, all right, so those are all the people who worked on this. I have to imagine these are the actual researchers from the University of Tokyo. So this is interesting. We are watching a Japanese science research project. That's interesting. I wonder, no, this is going to be in English, right? This isn't in Japanese. This is written very clearly in English. So I guess we'll just enjoy a trip to Japan for this one, I guess. That'll be fun. That'll be fun to see how the Japanese scientists work. I don't know. This will all be very interesting, I think. Okay, so these are the credits for the people who actually made this program. That's interesting. So scenario by, okay, so Manabu Sasa, scenario, that guy was also a researcher, or he was part of that other group as well. So that's interesting. Scenario, I wonder what that even means. Scenario. What's the scenario? You know, I really don't know. I'm not making myself look very smart by doing this, but produced by Eiji Murayama. Okay, that's cool. Photographed by Yoshitaka Fuji. Okay, so if there are any good shots, shout out to Yoshitaka, and then music by Matsuo Ono. Oh no, that's funny. So interesting. So this is pretty much a fully Japanese production company or production I guess this is a fully Japanese production right here. That's interesting. This is definitely the first time we've watched something like that. I don't quite know how that will affect this program though. So let's just keep watching, right?
In the film you are about to see, a team of Japanese scientists and a dedicated general practitioner are shown reenacting their studies on the Chiga vector.
Okay, so that's interesting. The scientists that we're about to watch are reenacting the process of discovering the Chiga vector. Excuse me for that term, obviously, but that's what they were researching. So that's very fascinating. So we're actually going to see the Japanese researchers reenacting their work, which is interesting. Hang on, so what was the disease? Because I had to say a weird word for that, and I know what those are, but I want to say the full disease just so that we all know what we're talking about here, I guess.
Reenacting their studies on the Chiga vector of a scrub type.
Chiga vector. Okay, so it's a Chiga vector. So a Chiga is like a little insect bug thing that bites people. I know that much.
Like disease occurring on a small island south of Tokyo.
Occurring on a small island south of Tokyo. Okay, so they're investigating one specific Chiga vector disease on one island south of Tokyo. That's fascinating, actually. That's like a very cool study.
These studies led to a clearer understanding of the stimulating...
Okay, so we're going to get to see Japan in like... Oh, this is from 1965. Okay, so that's not too cool, but that's still cool that we get to see Japan for like the first time on this channel in 1965, though.
Effect of carbon dioxide on certain...
the narrator himself messed up his line a little. That's funny, and they just kept it in.
Parasites. A disease of unknown etiology endemic to this small island.
All right, so the disease they're investigating is endemic to this one small island. Already, that's like very fascinating to me. But like, I don't know how that relates to like the title of the program. So let's just keep watching.
Prompted a group of scientists from the University of Tokyo to investigate the cause.
Again, all right, so the narrator is just like flubbing his lines a little and they're just rolling with it. I think that's hilarious. I wish I should do that on Atlas Pro. I should just include my flubs. All right, so these are researchers from the University of Tokyo. What's so funny is they even had to reenact like their arrival on this island. You know, like they have presumably gone through this whole process in order to actually like conduct this research. But for this video or for this film, they had to reenact everything as well. That's so funny, like asking somebody who is like very educated in like medicine to just be an actor in your film program about their research. It's just, it must be weird being like a researcher acting as a researcher for your own research. It's just like a weird, I don't know how these people internalized it all, but it must have been a weird thing for them to be doing, especially back then, right? Like there's no precedent for a film crew following a Japanese like research group onto an island for this sort of stuff. So like, I don't know, that's you just have to imagine like what people were thinking about this whole thing when they were filming it.
Which was determined in 1952 to be a rickettsial organism.
But it's also cool that we're getting to see like this random Japanese island from 1965. It's just like we are getting a cool glimpse into a very specific part of Japan. Look at everyone. Look at everyone's outfits. They are fully westernized in suits by this point.
The island of Hachijo is...
Which is crazy. This is 1965. So this is a little bit after World War II. This isn't like immediately post World War II.
Volcanic in origin, about 50 kilometers in circumference, and with...
but there's a real authentic Japanese person right here. Not that the guys wearing suits weren't authentic Japanese, but here's an authentic Japanese like garment, right? Like the stuff that this guy's wearing on his cow. I think it's a cow. That's like, this is actually what, Japanese villagers once looked like. Or, at least something akin to that.
And with a population of over 10,000 people earning their livelihood in agriculture or by fishing. Through the centuries, people of
Hachicho, that's the island we're on, Hachicho? Interesting. Are there any, I don't know if there are any Japanese viewers, but if there are, like, is there any familiarity with that island? Like, is that a well-known island, or is that an island that, like, literally no one in Japan would even know about? I'm curious if that's ringing any bells for any of you.
Had suffered from a strange fever that struck her.
That was interesting, too, seeing this woman walking. See, I love just seeing, like, the old appearances of these people. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's just like seeing how they walk. Like you learn so much about people just by observing them for a few seconds. I don't know. I just love seeing these like old people walk by.
A strange fever that struck only in the winter months.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay, this is cool too. You're getting to see like traditional Japanese architecture. Like that's really cool because again, a lot of this stuff has been replaced with more modernized techniques. So it's really cool to get to see one of these like thatched roof like buildings or whatever. Like this is really providing us a good glimpse into like what like old Japanese civilization used to look like.
The disease is characterized.
Oh, dude, look at this house too. Like, look at this. See, that's why I love Japan. Like, Japan is like, oh, they just have such nice things. That's all I gotta say about them.
By a rash over the entire body.
Hang on. So he was listening to this guy's heart a second ago, and then he just like put his like full face on this guy's back without any explanation. I'm curious what the medical technique he was practicing there was. Any medical doctors in the audience right now want to tell me what what that little maneuver was? It looks like he's putting his mouth on his back. That's what really is weirding me out about it. It looks like he's like he's like giving him like a back hickey or something. I want to know about this technique though. Please, if any of you know what he's doing, let me know in the comments.
Or Iskar. Mushy disease or scrub typhus.
I don't know. That audio clip really makes it hard to tell what we're talking about. But okay, Mushi disease. If any of you know about Mushi disease,
Was found to be transmitted by chiggers or larval mite.
Chiggers. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right here. This is a chigger. This might be a good thumbnail too, but I don't know if this is a flea. Why does the flea jump? I don't know why we're even talking about fleas, but like I guess. Okay, so this is what we're talking about though.
The species Trombicula scutularis. Here a chigger or larval mite is shown crawling.
A chigger or a lava mite. That's interesting. So this is pretty impressive footage as well. I don't know if you guys know, but chiggers are like invisible. I've never even seen one. So like the fact that we're looking at one means we must be using like a very specialized like macro lens to get this shot.
Crawling along a human hair. The mite is about 0.3 of a millimeter in size.
0.3 of a millimeter in size. Yeah, these are very small. You might be able to see that still, but I've never seen a chigger.
Here you see a typical temperature chart of a patient.
Dude, I love this little Japanese temperature chart, you know? I don't know. It's so funny that, like, they're using Japanese characters, but then all the numbers are still, like, Latin character-based, you know? Alphanumeric. I guess these characters are, like, saying what these lines are, right? Like, these ones on the bottom, that must be temperature. This must be, like, the Japanese symbols for temperature, and then these ones up here, these top ones, must be like days. This must mean in Japanese like time or something. I don't know.
A dramatic drop in temperature follows initiation of drug therapy with antibiotics such as the tetracyclines or chloramphenicol. The story does not end here, however, with the successful treatment of the disease.
Okay, so hang on. So they did figure out something that helped decrease the number. I don't know. I can't tell what this graph is saying because it's partially in Japanese, but it did decrease something. I don't know. I just like all the important information is in Japanese. So I guess that's all the arrow made things go down.
The story does not end here, however, with the successful treatment of the disease. The observations of an Ireland physician led to some very interesting studies of the sensory physiology of the chiggers. In pursuing...
So we learned more about the physiology of the chiggers. Is that what he's saying? Is that what was really learned from that study or something? Interesting.
His interest in the epidemiology of this disease, the physician trapped rodents and collected ectoparasites.
So, all right, hang on. So this is the physician. This guy, hang on, they just said this guy was trapping rodents for his tests. That's like, I guess that's going a little bit too far, but that's also showing his passion for studying diseases, I guess. It's a little messed up, though. He's just catching, like, rats, and he's experimenting on them. I mean, whatever. Dude, I love this little like moped bicycle thing. It's so funny that they had bikes like this all the way back then too. Again, I know that sounds dumb because obviously they had machines like this way before that as well. It's just like, it's funny to see a consumer grade like Vespa in Japan all the way back then.
On his way to visit patients, he often puts in suitable habitats.
See, again, I feel like we lost a little bit of information with that audio clip there because what does he do to these? I think he like surveys or something, but we lost like the descriptive word in that sentence. Of all the words, the one descriptive word is the one we lost. So hang on, how is he even collecting? Is this just like a little like sticky pad that like fleas or chiggers jump onto? Like what? I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it. Oh geez, so these are the rodents that he collected.
Chiggers are found in great numbers in the outer ear of rodents.
That's interesting. I never knew that. I always learned chiggers were like on trees, like Spanish moss that hangs from trees down south. That was the thing I was always taught had chiggers, not the inside of like rats' ears. But I guess like that's a very specific place to go looking for chiggers. I was never going to interact with the inside of a rat's ear anyway, I guess, so I didn't need to be told that as a child. This is some crazy macro footage of the inside of a rat's ear, though. Like, this might be the one time on this channel, or on any channel in all of YouTube, that we're looking at a rat's insides of an ear. Like, this might still be the closest footage we have of a rat's ear. All these years later, I don't think we've ever taken another up-close shot like this.
A bird, Turdus selenops, which is peculiar to the island.
That's interesting. I wonder if that means it's like endemic. I wonder if that use of language just means that it's actually endemic, like this bird isn't found anywhere else.
Also serves as a host for Trumbicula scutularis.
Trumbicula scutularis. Is that the chigger that we're talking about? I think so. Okay, so now here is like a wildlife scene in Japan, right? This is some Japanese wildlife right here. Just a tree and what kind of looks like a barren hill. Even still, this is Japan. I guess this is a Japanese island in 1965, so...
The physician was not satisfied merely to find the chiggers on rodents. He searched for their habitat apart from animal hosts. Careful, painstaking...
See, this is sort of impressive footage. The fact that you can see anything at all moving around on that is pretty impressive for how small these bugs actually are.
Search revealed many mites on the tops of stones and rocks.
There are actually like so many mites. Like I've never seen that many mites on like just a bare rock surface. Again, is this staged? Did they collect all those mites or maybe even bred all those mites for this shot? Or did they just come across a rock in the woods that had a ton of mites on it? You know, I can never tell with these old programs, but this seems staged. This seems like, you know, this researcher is just trying to exemplify like what he did to, you know, figure out whatever he learned about chiggers. So it just seems like this is staged. But again, like how do you find a rock or how do you get a rock with all these mites on it? I don't know. I guess that's not that hard. It's just like, did you actually do that or did you just have to find a rock with mites, you know?
After many observations, the physician discovered that the mites were in cracks and crevices of the rock and came out on the surface of the rock.
Oh, that was a crazy shot. Again, these are like really, not microscopic, but they are smaller than a millimeter. Like the fact that we're seeing them in such detail means we really are looking through like an impressive lens right now.
Soon after he came on the scene.
Whoa, that was a crazy shot. They all came out like all at once. That was nuts. That's impossible to get without like just it happening, you know? Like you can't force the mites to all do something at once. Like they have to react to something in unison.
He also observed that mites would come out on the surface of rocks for about 2 meters around himself. How did the mites learn of his presence?
Oh, wow. So, all right. So they're doing that because of his presence. Can they smell him? Maybe that's it. Maybe his like smell or maybe his temperature even. No, I think his smell would make more sense. That's crazy though. That mites will just like come out whenever you're around. I wonder if that's like a constant everywhere in the world. You know, like there are just bugs that can sense your presence and like do come out whenever you're around. Maybe I'm giving too many of you guys nightmares, but I wonder if that's true. Yeah, all right. We just watched this guy in like total silence look around the forest for like 10 seconds. Another little bit of this program that could have been cut if you wanted to save time. But I guess, you know what? Let's just watch him. Let's just watch this guy spend time in the forest, shall we?
Were the excited mites merely alarmed by an intruder in their midst, or were they prepared to attach to a host?
That's interesting. That is very interesting. I always think about ticks. I had Lyme disease as a kid, so like, yeah, like ticks, and I think ticks are a type of mite. So I don't know. That is very interesting. Are they reacting? Are they coming out because of his presence? And like, are they just like immediately trying to get onto him? Dude, there are so many mites on this rock though. Like, I have never seen a rock this covered in mites. Holy moly.
He placed a laboratory rat in contact with a rock on which mites were found.
Oh man, okay, so this is at least a living rat? Okay, I don't know if that's better or worse.
The mites crawled immediately into the hairs and attached to the body. Thus we see that the mites were prepared.
This is at least like, I don't know, good footage. It sucks that we had to use this rat just for the film though. Like obviously they used a rat in the original research, but also they had to show how they got that research. So now this rat is just like a sacrificial rat that we're just getting mites on for just for film, just for the camera.
To attach to a host.
Again, another like 5 to 10 seconds of pure silence where all that's happening on screen is we're watching this like rat's fur move around a little. Like another little moment or two that could have been cut.
The physician discussed his observations with the scientists from Tokyo University. They confirmed...
Oh, hang on. So this is a physician. So that's the physician, and then this guy is the scientist from Tokyo. Okay.
...his field observations and took up the challenge.
Dude, I love these guys' hair too. Like, again, that's part of the fun of watching these old programs, is seeing what the Japanese hairstyles from the 1960s were like. I guess I could never have my hair like this, but like, it's a good look. It is so emblematic of Japan already, like this hairstyle. I don't know if that's weird to say, but like, this is a very Japanese hairstyle already.
In order to permit...
Like, this physician kind of just has, like, regular hair, but that Tokyo doctor actually had, like, a hairstyle.
Further studies in the laboratory, mites are collected in test tubes by a member of the team from Tokyo University.
That's interesting. So that's how they collected mites, is they just had a little, like, cotton ball on a stick, a little Q-tip, pretty much. That is cool though, that we are getting to witness like the methods of science and research taking place. Like that does offer some insight into like the scientific method.
The mites are brought into the university laboratory in Tokyo.
Oh, hang on. So this is the University of Tokyo? Oh, man. Again, if there are any Japanese viewers or just any viewers that are in Japan or familiar with the University of Tokyo, is this still the university? Like, do you see this building when you go to university for Tokyo? I'm curious how many people actually recognize this building still. Like, is this a notable building that people would be like, whoa, that's that building all the way back then, I don't know. I don't know what it's like in Tokyo, but like I have to imagine it is. Though I will say the architecture for this building is not very Japanese inspired, or at least not like obvious to me.
Laboratory in Tokyo. The scientists, individually and collectively...
I love the way he said scientists. The scientists. Like they don't say scientist, it's scientist.
...actively in their discussions, speculate on the trigger mechanism.
Dude, look at the little like diagram they have in the back. Like they're actually drawing these mites or chiggers or whatever you want to call them. Like they're actually, I don't know, these people are definitely studying these mites though. That's all I can say, I guess. This is just so fascinating. We're actually getting to see like inside a 1960s Japanese like research center. This is so cool. Usually we get to see like American stuff like this, but not Japanese. Like this, like that alone is making this more special.
Out of their niches and the nature of the stimulus for their agitated activity.
The nature of the stimulus of their agitated activity. Okay, so they're trying to figure out. Oh, okay, so they are trying to figure out why the flea jumps, I guess. So they're trying to figure out how our presence is communicating to mites that we are present, I guess. That's interesting. Again, I don't know what this has to do with fleas exactly, but hopefully we'll get there.
Naturally occurring rocks are too irregular to permit simple controlled experiments, so the group proceeds with laboratory methods to devise a suitable stage.
Dang, look at this. I know this is going to sound silly, but even seeing like the Japanese labels on these chemicals is like so interesting to me. Like I just have this thought in my head that like all chemistry chemicals were made in like English speaking places and all the labels for them would be in English. So it's so cool to see that not being the case. You know, it's cool to see just this vial with just these Japanese characters on it saying something. You know, it's just it's interesting. It's just different, I guess.
They decide on a simple cone made of powdered charcoal and plaster of Paris.
Hang on, so they're making a fake medium for these mites to be on so that they can test on them? Is that what they're doing? Again, I don't know if we needed to watch in silence that scientist scoop all that goop into that funnel, but we did. We did definitely get to see them do it all, just in case there was something interesting there. Oh wow, that's interesting. So that's what they're making. So this are like the surfaces that they're trying to get the mites to go on.
Mites are released on the inverted, hardened cone.
So now do they just have mites like all over this laboratory? It feels like they will, right? Like there's no way of preventing mites from getting everywhere eventually.
The mites move about.
Dang, this is a crazy shot too. This almost feels like an animated shot, but it's not. This is just, again, like another specialized lens to capture these mites on this little charcoal triangle.
About on the surface of the cone.
Wow, that is really nuts though. It is cool footage. Oh man, yeah, shout out to the guy. Whoever, I forgot his name. Well, yeah, whoever I shouted out, or whoever was in the credits for photography, shout out to him for having all these lenses.
With their general orientation towards the top. After about 20 minutes, the mites are gathered near the top of the cone and on the side away from the light.
That's interesting. I feel like I could have guessed that, though, like that they would flee from the light. I feel like that's a very normal behavior for something like this.
The mites respond.
Now the music is getting like real eerie, which I guess fits because, I don't know, mites are kind of like icky too. This is a crazy shot though. Like, wow, I wish they got like a time lapse of this, right? Like to have seen all the mites all over this and then to see them all go in this one direction, that would have been a really cool shot. But unfortunately we didn't get that. But this is cool too, to see all of these mites clustered in this one spot. This is like, again, illustrative of their behavior for sure.
Respond negatively to two forces. Geotaxis and phototaxis.
Dang, I love this diagram. Light, gravity. Like this is, all right, so that's the Japanese symbol for light and that's this Japanese symbol for gravity. That's funny.
Taxis in seeking their resting place. That is, they respond negatively to gravity and to light.
That's funny. I wonder, like, I don't know, this is going to sound weird, but like these arrows, right? Like, did Japanese people also use arrows to indicate like directions? I don't know. I don't know if that's like something that was only in Latin alphabets or if like the arrow is just like a universal symbol for direction. It must be, right? Because the Japanese had actual physical arrows for stuff. So maybe, I don't know. I'm just getting into the weeds a bit.
When the cover of the dish is...
This is also a crazy shot. Like, I feel like no one's even thinking about the photography for this, but like, we are underneath this petri dish or somehow, you know, like we must be on the very edge of a table and then the camera is actually below the table. Because this researcher is like above the camera looking down into it. It's just, this is like more artistic of a shot than like it deserves to be. Like we didn't need this shot, but the cameraman wanted this shot, you know?
Is removed. The mites begin to move about in agitation.
Whoa, that was crazy too. And the little sound effect, that is like the most like Japanese little sound effect ever. I hope that's not offensive. That's like the most like Nintendo sound effect, I guess. Like that's that sound alone made me feel like we're in Japan. Dude, this is crazy footage though. Just seeing these mites on the tip of this cone. Like this really is spectacular. Maybe I could make this. No, this wouldn't make sense as a thumbnail. No one would understand what we're even looking at if this were the thumbnail. Even though it's an interesting shot, it's not a good thumbnail.
The scientists recognized two obvious possibilities: sound or vibrations, and changes in light intensity.
Hang on, sound or vibrations? I feel like I don't know why that would influence them at all. I feel like it's more so like they are just trained to go up and they are light sensitive. So I don't know. They might just have eyes, you know? They might have very primitive eyes that tell them where the light is and where they don't want to be. Because animals like this have the instinct of being in the dark because they are in the dark, right? Like they are under rocks and in like crevices and whatnot. They always have the fear of being in the light because the light is the only time that any other animal can predate on them. So they're more safe out of the light, or at least that's my guess on this.
Could be the stimuli. Could mites hear or feel vibrations created by an approaching host? Also,
I feel like no. I feel like mites can't hear you. I feel like that's not the right direction. Maybe it is. I'll definitely make myself look like an idiot if that's not the case. But like I have to imagine mites are not hearing us. I think it's more realistic for them to be smelling us than for them to be hearing us.
A host would cast a shadow, and perhaps some mites were sensitive to changes in light intensity.
Again, if you cast a shadow over the mites, they wouldn't come out, though. They would just be comfortable because they are light sensitive. You know, I feel like that's not... I feel like we're going in the wrong direction here. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I don't understand something about this, but I don't know if we're going in the right direction.
Tests were designed to determine the effect of various stimuli.
This is so interesting. So this is a little box that these guys built in order to test different conditions on mites. It's just very interesting, very specific scientific machine right here.
Mites are released onto a cone, which is placed in a special chamber. Observations are made through a small window. The mites in the chamber are nearly completely isolated from extraneous environmental factors.
Yeah, see, to even see them, you need something like this. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't see them with your naked eye. So I'm glad that they brought in this little telescopic microscope. I don't even know what to call it. Probably just a microscope, I guess. Like, just so that they can even see them.
Leaves are rustled.
Okay, so they're rustling leaves to see if the sound does anything to the mites. Let's see. My guess is no, but let's see.
No reaction.
Okay, yep, I was right about that at least. That's so funny how little they did. Obviously, that shot probably wasn't even taken while they were making sound. That was probably just like an unrelated shot, but like, I don't know. They definitely did not react is all I gotta say.
Hands are clapped.
They're just clapping at the mites. I honestly really like the thought that mites would hear and react to a human clapping. I think that's more funny from like a human perspective than anything. The audacity that we would assume mites would pay attention to our applause, you know? Again, this is just such a funny scientific setup, right? Like, this guy down in the corner is staring at these mites, looking for movement, and this guy's just clapping into a glass funnel, trying to excite some mites, you know? It's just like, it's science. What's taking place in front of us is science, but sometimes science is just like the most ridiculous series of events, you know?
The mites remain quiet and indifferent.
Yeah, like I said, the sound, they're not going to hear anything. I don't even know if they can hear anything. They might, but I don't think so. Maybe vibrations, but not like sound.
Light intensity is varied with little apparent effect.
See, that's interesting because I would have thought that light actually would have had an effect. I think I said that earlier. I think like if you put a light on them, they're gonna scurry away and try to go to the dark. But I guess not. It's gonna be smell. I swear to God, it's gonna be not the pheromones. It's gonna be the scents that we give off alerts them to our presence. That's my guess. I'm locking it in for later. Okay, that's just I'm locked in now.
Strong illumination causes some mites to move slightly.
Okay, well, that's fair. Okay. I feel not so bad about making my guess then. All right, so a little light does cause them to move a little. All right, whatever. That checks out to me. Again, this is just like a 10-second long, uninterrupted, silent shot of mites crawling around. Evan included. Make sure the audience watches every single last silent second of these mites crawling around. I don't want them getting away with anything less than what I watched.
Body odor is tried.
That's really funny. See, all right, I'm glad we're getting there. Oh no, okay, so we're about to learn if I was right or if I was wrong. That's so funny how he took the sample, though. He actually took his own body odor by swabbing his pits with a little gauze thing. That's so funny. That's so, like, unscientific, but also, like, perfectly accurate. You know, like, in a real scientific experiment, you'd need like a vial of like human smell so that you had the smell controlled every time you used it. But here, I guess maybe the control is just his armpit every time, but like that's a weird statement, but like I don't know, that feels a little bit uncontrolled to me.
A wad of cotton which has been held close to the body is placed in the funnel.
Held close to the body, or has it been like swabbed on sweat? Because there's a difference there. Are you kidding me? They don't really react?
Again, there is no reaction.
Wow, I can't believe that. So I guess I was wrong too. They really didn't react to his smell? Alright, so what could it be? If it's not the smell and it's not... Is it just the ground vibration then? I don't know. It's gonna be vibration. That's what it's gotta be.
Next, human breath is introduced into
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that'll do it, because it's carbon dioxide as well.
the chamber through a tube. There is an immediate
Dude, I love the sound effect. Oh my gosh, this is like such a little like Nintendo sound effect.
There is an immediate strong reaction.
I love how excited that guy was to look at the mites too. He was like, let me look. Like, they're actually like engaging with this so well. Hang on, so the breath could have partially been a result of the smell, but it might more have to do with temperature and carbon dioxide now. It might be whenever they warm up, but that wouldn't make sense for in the forest.
What could be the stimulus in exhalant breath?
It might just be carbon dioxide, but then I don't know why they would react to you in a forest the same way they just reacted here. This is good because I actually don't know the answer, so I'm trying to figure it out as well. Usually on at least the greens, I have some understanding, but here, I genuinely have no idea. Dude, even this guy came over, like, now that they figured it out. Oh, I guess this is all a reenactment, right? So this isn't, like, the second they discovered it for real. But I guess they're doing a good job of illustrating how excited they were when they did discover it for real. It's just so funny to think that these three guys are so excited over, like, moving mites. You know, like, what a small thing. It's just, I don't know. That's funny.
A measured amount of breath is taken up in a...
I love that they're taking a measured amount. They're actually like siphoning the breath into like a syringe. Just like, yeah, a syringe full of human breath. I like that. That's so funny for some reason.
in a syringe and forced into the chamber to see if it is adequate to stimulate the mites.
Okay, so now they're trying to do this experiment again in a different way to see if they can replicate the results of exciting the mites with human breath. That's interesting. It's interesting that they set up this secondary form of experiment. And also, again, you can see that they're using a microscope to look at the mites. And again, they're using a microscope to actually see the mites. Again, they're too small to see with the naked eye.
The mites react strongly.
That is crazy. They go like nuts. It's not only that they react, but they go into like a frenzy, you know? Like, I wonder why. It must be the carbon dioxide. Never before have I wondered this question, but I guess that means they're doing a good job of making me curious about it, you know? Like, now I need to know the answer to this. Oh my god, look how many mites there are. Like, this is just grossing me out just looking at it, man.
The group decide to try selective absorption with various chemicals to see if by elimination they can pinpoint the stimulus. First, breath is shaken in a syringe with soda lime solution.
Hang on, soda lime. So they're trying to isolate the different chemicals or different aspects of our breath. So they're going to try it with like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and then whatever, I don't know, volatiles are also in our breaths, if that's the right word even. Like, it's a very complex experiment. I don't even know how you take certain ingredients out of the air. I don't know. That's very cool, very specific. That's like very ingenious, I guess.
The soda lime solution is
I love how this guy's just mixing his breath with a solution.
discharged, and the remaining air is injected into the chamber.
I just feel like that's so weird, right? Like they sloshed around this liquid to get the air to interact with this chemical, and now they're gonna squirt the rest of this air in. Presumably, they understand the chemical reaction that took place, that took one of the ingredients of air out of that vial. That's just so interesting. I wonder if that's real. I mean, it must be real. It's just like, I wonder if that really works. Like, I guess it must. That's a new method that I never really knew until today.
There is no reaction. The stimulus has been removed by absorption in the soda lime bath.
Interesting. So the soda lime removed the stimulus. So what was the stimulus? I still think it's carbon dioxide. That's what I'm going with.
The stimulating component of exhaled breath is absorbed by alkali. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by passage through alkali baths.
Oh yeah, CO2. All right, I'm proud of that at least. That's a little bit of a pat on the back for me.
Human breath contains approximately 4% carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is produced artificially by adding sodium bicarbonate.
Oh, so now are they going to take pure CO2 and inject it into the same chamber and then witness the mites go like absolutely bonkers? That'll be cool. That's a good experiment.
To dilute HCl. The gas is accumulated in a polyethylene...
Oh, that's exactly what they're doing. All right, so they collected the CO2 in the bag, and now they're going to try it with pure CO2. Interesting.
bag. The gas is taken up in a syringe and introduced into the chamber.
Dude, the sound effect of mites acquiring more CO2 is so funny to me. It's like, it sounds like Mario gaining like a power up or something, you know? Like, I think that's really what they're trying to connotate with that sound effect. And it's just so funny because like that sort of sound is so blazed into my mind as like, yeah, a video game character sound.
The mites are stimulated to frenzied activity by carbon dioxide.
Frenzied. I feel like I used that word a second ago. Maybe I didn't, but I feel like I did. I think I thought I said that it would drive him into a frenzy. So this still doesn't quite explain why the mites out in the forest would react to this man. Are they so sensitive to carbon dioxide that they could sense the slight increase in the air around him? Like that seems too bizarre to me. You know, like smell makes a little bit more sense for a scenario like that, but I understand it in this lab setting at least.
This was very interesting. Do other parasitic arthropods behave in a similar manner?
I have to imagine like pretty much all arthropods, parasitic or otherwise, would react to carbon dioxide in a similar way. Because I feel like this is just like a physiological reaction to it almost. It's not instinctual. Oh, it's reflexive for them to behave like that when encountering carbon dioxide. Or at least that's my guess.
Rat mite is sometimes a serious pest in homes. It produces an irritating itch when it bites man.
The tropical rat mite, okay, is sometimes a serious pest in homes. So that's what we're talking about now, is the tropical rat mite.
It produces an irritating itch when it bites man.
This right here, this is the tropical rat mite. An irritating itch too? Dang.
The mite breeds in rat nests in nature. Here at the laboratory...
Oh, look at this little rat. Is this a rat or is this a mouse?
Tropical rat mites are being
rat mice. Wow, of course they call them rat mice, because I can't be right about anything.
bred on cotton rats in the course of studies on filariasis. A rat nest is taken out and placed in a tray. One of the group blows his breath into the nest.
Again, just like we are watching science taking place, but it's just like the science that it's taking place is this guy's blowing into a rat nest looking for mites to come out. I don't know. It's just like this is scientific, but it doesn't feel scientific always.
The mites come out onto the surface almost immediately.
Oh man, this is again grossing me out a little. I don't even want to look at stuff like this. All the little bugs, I hate it. Like I don't mind bugs. I'm not like scared of bugs or anything, but like seeing them in like fur like this is like diseased to me. This is a diseased shot right here. This shot is diseased.
Chemically produced carbon dioxide stimulates the tropical rat mite in the same way.
Again, we just watched like another 10 seconds of silence without anything happening. I guess we got to watch the mites move around, but like, I don't know, after 5 seconds, you're like, I don't need to watch these mites anymore. But hang on, now I want to try to figure out why exactly carbon dioxide does cause these things to move. Like why, I don't know, because they do respire. They need oxygen. They don't need carbon dioxide. So I feel like whenever they feel their environment become too saturated with CO2, they need to move somewhere else that has less of it. So I feel like that is kind of why they have this reflex towards it, is because every time they feel like they can't breathe, they have to move. They can physically move to somewhere where they can breathe better. Or maybe that's just my guess.
The effect of carbon dioxide on fleas is also interesting.
Okay, hang on. We are 14 minutes into a 20-minute long program, and we finally are talking about fleas. This is the first flea. This will probably be the thumbnail, actually. This is the first time we've talked about fleas, though, this whole program. So we made it. We finally made it to the promised land. This is what we were meant to watch.
Fleas usually remain dormant in
Dude, I hate fleas even more. Mites are fine, but I hate fleas. Like, I have gotten so many fleas out of my cats over the years that, like, oh man, I hate them. I don't even like looking at them.
in sand or in the soil. Here in the laboratory, dog fleas are collected in a flask with sand and pieces of paper in the bottom. Gradually,
Dog fleas. All right, so these are actually the literal fleas that affect dogs.
the fleas quiet down. Sounds or vibrations produced by rapping forceps against the flask do not cause the fleas to jump.
You know, I really do like the suggestion that people thought that would do anything. You know, like the fact that they are testing all these arthropods on sound, like, That shows that they thought they would react to the sound, like, or at least they had to rule that out, like they weren't sure if they would react to sound or not, so they had to test it. It's funny, it's funny to think that, like, yeah, they didn't know if arthropods, if little bugs like this would react to sound or not. It's just, this feels like an experiment that we just would not need to do nowadays. Like, we would not need to test if these fleas can hear sound. But back then, they did need to test for that.
But when a person's breath is blown into the flask, the fleas suddenly become active. The pinging noises are the fleas hitting the sides of the flask when they jump.
Hang on. I'm calling bullshit on that. The pinging noises are the fleas hitting the flask. Let me tell you, there is no sound being made by these fleas touching that flask. Like, these sounds are definitely added after the fact. There's no way we have a microphone that could pick up the sound of a flea colliding into a glass beaker. Like, these are after the fact sounds, all right? Like, this doesn't even sound like glass,
In the absence of man or other animals,
I would be so shocked if this was the actual audio they recorded from this sequence. I don't think it is. I don't even think they were recording sound while filming this, I have a very hard time believing this is an accurate sound.
such as in a summer house,
But this is interesting. Before we even continue, like, I'm already starting to understand why we went through this process, right? Like, now that we know carbon dioxide forces fleas to want to jump and leave where they are, that starts to give you a method of controlling fleas, right? If you can tell the fleas, hey, this is CO2 area, you can't breathe over here, you have to go somewhere else in order to breathe, like, that's a good way of controlling fleas. So that's interesting. That's an application of this research for sure. That's probably why they engaged in this in the first place.
fleas stay quiescent in cracks and crevices. Thus they can conserve their energy and moisture for long periods of time. When people or animals return, the fleas are alerted by the increased carbon dioxide in the air.
Dude, this literally happened to me once. Once I got home from vacation, and like within a few minutes of being home, like my socks were absolutely covered in these little black specks that are fleas. Like, we had fleas and we didn't realize until we left. And then when we got back, they were just everywhere all of a sudden. It was crazy. I hate fleas. Fleas are one of the few living things that I will admit to just straight up hating. Fleas and mosquitoes. Like, I will kill everyone I see.
The fleas are awakened and begin to jump in search of the host.
Oh, this is so gross. I hate this. Ugh.
Carbon dioxide serves as a dinner bell for the fleas.
That's so funny how they used the phrase dinner bell, so they had to show dinner and a ringing bell. Like that, I don't know. Like, you didn't need to show me that for me to understand what you meant by saying that. Oh geez, now we're seeing all these kids. Like, just the idea that all these kids have, like, fleas all over them, it's just so nasty. Like, I'm sorry to all these kids for even being suggested that,
Mosquitoes are off.
Oh wow, look at this dress, or kimono, I guess. Is this an authentic kimono? I wonder. I can't really tell. It kind of looks more modern. Is this an authentic kimono from 1965 Japan?
Often serious pests in the summer season. They feed on our blood, cause itchy bites, and sometimes transmit agents of disease to us.
Yeah, see, this is what I was saying, though. Fleas and mosquitoes. I'm glad we're lumping those in the same group, because that's exactly where they deserve to be.
This is the yellow.
Oh man, yeah, up close. I hate up close photography of mosquitoes on, like, human skin. This is, like, maybe the worst form of image I can ever imagine seeing. Like, oh my god, I hate this. Like, I've seen dead human bodies on this channel before, and that doesn't disturb me as much as seeing a mosquito to drink humans' blood,
Yellow fever mosquito piercing the skin of a woman.
I have such a strong desire just to smack it right now. Like, I hate seeing this sort of footage. It's impressive footage, though. It is. Like, you need a macro lens to get that.
To demonstrate the effect of carbon dioxide on mosquitoes, A piece of dry ice.
Hang on, so now we're just applying this logic to all, like, insects pretty much? Like, I know the mites reacted to the CO2, but, like, I don't know if that applies to everything. I know I said earlier that I assume that would apply to everything, but mosquitoes and mites are kind of too different in my head to assume the same.
Is placed on a cemetery stone in which there is a hole containing resting mosquitoes.
There's just a hole containing resting mosquitoes in this, like, cemetery, like, on this, like, gravestone. Like, I don't know. It's a very specific location to go looking for mosquitoes, and it's very, I don't know, sad that there's a gravestone that's just breeding mosquitoes.
The cool, heavy carbon dioxide coming from the dry ice.
Oh wow, that's an interesting way to test this, like, theory though, is bringing dry ice and actually having it, like, flood the environment with CO2. That's interesting.
Falls or flows into the hole. You can see the mosquitoes emerge from the hole.
Actually, I can't see the mosquitoes emerge. I mean, I can barely see it. So that's what I was saying, though. They do want to get out of the presence of CO2. That's what causes them to leave, or that's what causes them to move. They can't breathe anymore because it's just CO2, so they try to go somewhere else where there's more oxygen. That's cool to see, like, that principle played out word for word right in front of us.
Female mosquitoes, apparently deceived, are stimulated to feed and appear to be trying to pierce the stone.
See, that's funny because, again, I would imagine that you'd be able to smell that the stone is not, like, fleshy and full of blood.
Male mosquitoes...
I guess I've been thinking about smell too much this video. Like, I'm really shocked that smell doesn't play a part at all.
...do not feed upon blood.
I don't know why I thought smell was so important. I just figured that, like, pheromones are, like, what create a lot of behaviors for these animals. So, I don't know, I thought smell would be more important.
And do not appear to be stimulated by carbon dioxide.
I do think it's funny that they say stimulated by carbon dioxide, not like strangled or like suffocated by carbon dioxide, because that's really what's happening, right? They're not being stimulated, they're suffocating and choosing to move to find more air to breathe, you know? Or at least, again, that's my thoughts on how this all works.
The team of scientists discovered another surprising effect of carbon dioxide. The infective young of hookworms react electrically to carbon dioxide. Wherever night soil is used...
Oh, jeez. Look at these wet feet in the mud, like ringworm or hookworm. That's what he said. Like, oh, man, yeah, this is it's why you wear shoes when you do your farm work, I guess. But again, that's an interesting detail that people used to just do farm work shoeless, you know? Like, that's just a lost aspect of the world, you know? Nobody farms in their bare feet anymore. And it's because you got hookworm by doing that. Like, yeah, I think there's a better way to avoid getting hookworm than using carbon dioxide. I'm pretty sure shoes will do the job just fine.
Used as a fertilizer, hookworm eggs may be broadcast over the land. The young worms hatch and invade human beings, usually through the skin of bare feet.
Oh man, I hate this even more. Honestly, like, this is even worse. Like, I'm glad this isn't on human skin. If I had to watch one of these worms crawl into a human body, I'd be out. I'd be done. I wouldn't watch the rest of this. Like, I'm glad this is as far as we're going.
The adult hookworms inhabit the intestines of man, sucking blood from the mucosa.
That's crazy. Oh, that's so, like, I hate the idea that there are worms in our bodies just, like, parasiting us. Like, oh my god, I hate that so much.
Hookworms infest a great many people in tropical and subtropical areas of the world.
Dang, and I go outside shoeless all the time. All right, I gotta start wearing shoes now everywhere I go.
About 20% of the farmers of southern Japan are infected with hookworms.
20% of the farmers in Japan are infected with hookworm. That's crazy.
The Japanese scientists experienced some difficulty in isolating the young worms to test their reaction to carbon dioxide.
That's really funny. They, like, couldn't actually get the worms to stay in one spot for them to test. So they had to make all these... You can see all the different prototypes for containing the worms for testing. They had to make a cone with, like, a divot in it so that they couldn't leave, but also, like, had to stay put. I don't know, that's so funny. That's funny how for this research project, they had to do research into how to make a little sample of worms in the first place. You know, it's like they're not just researching mites or like arthropods' reaction to CO2. They're figuring out how to test things on these animals in the first place. And that's really the advancement that's taking place is how do we actually in a lab work with hookworms and work with mites. You know, that's what they're figuring out more so than how do these animals even react to CO2 or whatnot.
Scientists experienced some difficulty in isolating the young worms to test their reaction to carbon dioxide. A modification of the plaster of Paris cone proved very satisfactory. The tip...
Oh man, yeah, this is nasty. Just these worms writhing around. This isn't so gross for me. This doesn't make my skin crawl like that other one. I don't know why. This like, they don't even feel real when they're on like a microscope slide like this.
Of the cone was removed and a cone-shaped depression made, somewhat like a miniature volcano.
Now, all right, maybe it is grossing me out a little. I changed my mind.
Young hookworms are cultured in test tubes. They are collected by pipette.
Dude, imagine having a vial of just hookworms. You know, like that is, that's like the grossest vial. Like it's the most dangerous vial. I don't like the idea of there being vials of hookworm out there.
And dropped into the depression of the cone.
Oh wow, that is cool. You can actually see them in the drop. This is some cool photography. I will say that. Like this photographer was definitely having fun with their macro lens on this shoot. That is crazy. You can actually see the little worms in the water droplet. That's amazing.
The worms move gradually upwards, and when the cone is kept in a chamber away from distracting environmental influences, the young worms become relatively quiet.
This is again so wild that we're looking at like microscopic worms climbing up the side of this little cone thing. This is really special footage as well.
Some stand out from the surface like needles. Others form...
Oh, that's funny. They actually like stand straight up. I wonder why. Like they haven't actually gone into why all of these bugs like go to the top and like try to go up as far as possible. I wonder what the explanation for that is.
Clusters that sometimes look like cords of many fibers.
That's so weird how they just stand up like that. Like, what are they trying to do? I guess they're trying to attach themselves to a host. So if they think that they're on the floor, they're ready for like somebody to step on them so that they can, you know, grab onto your foot. That's, my gosh. Oh man, for a second I was like, is this guy gonna drink it? But no, he's blowing air into them. That's funny.
When breath is blown into the chamber...
Whoa, that's so crazy how like, yeah, you can barely even see these worms. But when they start to squirm, you can see the little sparkles that their writhing bodies makes. That's so, that's so bizarre. Again, like that's amazing.
The young worms begin to writhe in a dance macabre.
That's so, like, funny also. Just seeing their little bodies, like, waving. That's, like, this really is, like, spectacular footage. Like this, I don't mind getting so many shots where nothing else happens besides watching these worms dance, because this is like a very significant visual right here. Oh my gosh, it's so creepy though. It's so cool, but it's so weird. Ugh. It's like, it's nasty, you know? It's just gross. It's like every single thing that you're seeing move on screen, like wants to invade your body and like drink your blood or like lay eggs inside of you or something, you know? Something gross. This is actually nuts though. This macro footage of like oh my god, this is awesome. This is such good footage of such a disgusting thing. There's like worms just straight up dancing, just dancing to get into your foot, you know? Ugh. I love the music though. I love that they're playing music for these things to dance to. That's a funny editing choice right there as well. Oh, hang on. So it looks like this little like tendril is made up of like multiple worms. Like they're forming like singular bodies of worms, like meta worms for them to reach even further up. Like, is that what's happening? That, oh my God, this is so insane. This is also something that humans weren't meant to ever see, right? Like the fact that this is smaller than what the human eye can perceive means we were never meant to know that this exists, you know? Like this is insider information for like the natural world, you know? This is just nuts. What an abrasive sound of music for them to be playing, though. I can't tell if this is like some form of like traditional Japanese drum music or if this is just like a really strange drum beat for them to be playing. I don't know. Like, this isn't even like dancing drum music, you know? This is like, I mean, maybe dancing in like a Caribbean island sort of way, but not like, I mean, I don't know. This is just not this is, to me, this isn't dancing music, but whatever. This shot right here. These are all so nuts though. I don't even want to give special attention to any shot in particular because these are all just so nuts. So good, but so nuts.
Thus, on a little...
Oh, wow. All right, hard cut away from that. That's fun. A little musical interlude for us to enjoy these worms dancing before we get to the conclusion. That's fun.
out-of-the-way island, the persistence and remarkable observational powers of a country doctor led to a clearer establishment of carbon dioxide as a potent stimulus to parasitic animals.
So this guy discovered that CO2 was a potent stimulus for bugs like that. So that's interesting. I wonder if he is like the original discoverer of that concept, because that seems like a very like foundational concept in the understanding of like how animals work. Like if you puff carbon dioxide into pretty much any animal's environment, you will make it uncomfortable somehow or another. Even my environment, it'll get stuffy in here eventually, you know? So that's interesting how this was like the first time they ever really recognized the relationship between CO2 and stimulating animals. Shout out to this local physician too. Like the fact that he just took it upon himself to learn all this stuff, like very impressive. Good for him. Oh, there we go. The end. See, this is the sort of music I would imagine they would play the dancing worms to. This feels like dancing worm music right here. Okay, wow, so that was the end. So that was a very enjoyable watch, I think. I really didn't know what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised. There's actually a treasure trove of amazing footage in this program, of all the mites, all the fleas, all the little worms. Like there is some really special imagery in this for sure. And there's also really good information as well. I mean, obviously now we know that mites and all sorts of other arthropods react to carbon dioxide. Like we just watched like a scientific discovery take place. I mean, I guess this was all staged, but these were the real people who actually discovered this all, you know? Like these are the real materials, these are the real methods that led to this discovery in pretty much probably the same exact lab room. You know, like we pretty much did just watch a scientific discovery take place right before our eyes. So that is notable. That is significant. That's cool that we got to watch that, you know? And obviously that's part of the reason why I like watching these old programs is you actually get to see the science that took place that led to our understanding being established. You know, like we got to see the science that led to our understanding. It's so cool that we filmed this sort of stuff so that we can look back on it now and actually see ourselves learning for the first time. There's something so fascinating about this to me, which is saying something because I really don't actually like any of the animals that we learned about. So the fact that I was able to find this like really interesting and like not the most disgusting, I don't know, like this was an impressive educational content and an impressive actual scientific discovery. So this is cool. We got to see a whole bunch of cool stuff today. But I think that's all I have to say. So if you enjoyed watching and would like to help support this channel, you can follow the link in the description that'll take you over to the Internet Archive. The Internet Archive is where I get all these old programs from. So if you want to support me, donate to them. And with that, I think we're ready to cut to black.